Welcome. This is Everyday Paradoxes Tiny Truths About Becoming, a 16-part audio series based on my book. These are reflections on the quiet contradictions that shape our growth. I'm Leslie DeMello. In each episode, we'll sit with one small truth from ordinary life, where psychology meets contemplation and insight becomes practice. Let's begin. Chapter 6. Letting go isn't losing, it's creating space. Take one moment to take a slow breath. A slow breath in. And take a longer exhale out. And let yourself land gently into this moment. Today we are exploring the paradox, or rather, we are exploring a paradox that can reshape how we move through life. Letting go isn't losing, letting go is creating space. And we are not talking about the space of emptiness, but we are talking about the space of possibility. We are talking about that space where something new can finally enter. Once our hands, once our heart, once our body, it stops gripping so tightly. We start to create that space for something new to enter. So, for this hour, you don't need to cling to anything. You don't need to cling to an idea. You don't need to cling to an outcome. You don't need to cling to an emotion or even a version of yourself. Just breathe. Just soften and just arrive. Starting with a story. And this is a story about a person that's caught in a river. The current is strong, and in their panic, they grab onto a rope that's tied to a rock on the riverbank. And they grip it with everything that they have. Knuckles are white, their body is shaking, and they're convinced that the rope is the only thing that's keeping them safe. Minutes pass, hours pass. Their arms start to ache from holding on. Their breath becomes shallow. And their whole being is consumed by this effort of not letting go. But eventually, through exhaustion or maybe insight, they release their grip. And surprisingly, the current, it carries them gently into calmer waters downstream. And they discover that the rope wasn't saving them. The rope was exhausting them. The rope wasn't saving them, the rope was exhausting them. Sometimes the things we cling to for dear life are the very same things that keep us from peace. Letting go isn't falling apart, letting go is falling into place. So we all grip, right? We grip onto those relationships that have expired. We grip onto those expectancies that we never chose. We grip onto identities that we have outgrown. We grip onto plans that stopped fitting us years ago. And sometimes we grip so tightly that we forget what relaxed feels like. And the funny thing is, most gripping is not about that thing itself. It's about the fear, that's beneath it. The fear that if we loosen our hold, if we loosen our grip, we lose control, or we lose direction, or we lose ourselves. We tend to imagine letting go as giving up. But letting go is not giving up, it's giving yourself back to yourself. It's giving yourself back to yourself. There's this classic story about this monkey who reaches into a jar full of nuts. And when it grabs a handful of nuts, its fist becomes too large to pull that back out. And the monkey panics, the monkey screams, it shakes the jar. It tries everything except the one thing that would free it, opening its hand. And we are all that monkey sometimes. We hold on to something that's hurting us. We are convinced that letting go would be the real loss. But the truth is that letting go frees your hand. It frees your heart. It frees your future. Some examples where we hold on too tightly. Sometimes we stay in a relationship or we stay in relationships because letting go feels like admitting defeat. Or sometimes we keep a career path long after it's drained our joy. Sometimes we refuse to release a version of ourselves that we have outgrown. Or we try to hold on to a plan that clearly isn't working because this was supposed to be the plan. We don't cling because we are weak. We cling because we are scared. Simply because gripping, it gives us that illusion that we are still in control. We sometimes cling to brands, we cling to routines, we cling to choices, not because they serve us, but because they feel familiar. While I was pondering on this whole topic of gripping too hard and not letting go simply because there are these things that we have become familiar with. And what came to my mind was the laundry detergent that I use. I use a certain brand of laundry detergent and I've been using it for many years and I have not bothered to change the brand simply because I'm familiar with its look, I'm familiar with its smell. I hold on to it anyway. Maybe I'm paying too much for it. Maybe it does not clean as well as the other ones available in the market. But I cling to that identity. I cling to that comfort. I cling to that sense of continuity. Detergent loyalty is such a safe everyday example. But the deeper emotional truth is we often hold on too tightly, not because something is valuable, but because how familiar it has become. How does one distinguish between it's not working versus being patient and keep at it? Something goes wrong. Let's take relationships because relationships they just make up this bulk of our life. Something's gone wrong in a relationship. We be patient and we work at it. It gets fixed or it doesn't get fixed. We keep working at it and it still doesn't get fixed and we keep working at it and we keep working at it. So we have been patient and we have kept at it. at some point, it starts to drain who we are. It starts to eat into our being, into our well being. It starts to drain us as people. And that's the time that we need to decide to let it go. And I guess the easiest, well, sometimes easy may not be the most practical way, but the easiest way to know is this particular thing serving me? Is it serving me for who I am at this point in my life or who I want to become? And if it is not serving me, then I probably have to let it go. The first journaling prompt, take around a minute to either reflect on this, or if you have a journal, to journal this prompt. What am I gripping in my life right now? What am I gripping in my life right now? Don't judge it, just name it. What am I gripping in my life right now? I have a friend who has his savings account in a bank, which at this in this current financial market is giving him possibly the lowest rate of interest, the lowest return on the amount of money that he's holding in his account. And I asked him, why are you still keeping that money in that bank? Why are you not moving to another bank? And his reply was, I've been banking with them for the past 20 years. And that's what he's gripping. He's gripping that security. He's gripping that familiarity with that particular banker. Even though his money will do a lot more work in another bank. So we could be gripping onto relationships. We could be even gripping onto meditation techniques. So what are you gripping in your life right now? Don't judge it, just name it. If you're comfortable, drop it into the chat. So the fear beneath holding on. Because when we can't let go, it's it's really about that thing itself. It's about the meaning that we gave it. If I let this go, have I failed? If I stop trying, will I lose who I am? If this ends, what does that say about me? But we need to remember that fear is not a prophecy. Fear can be thought of as unfamiliarity wearing a loud costume. Unfamiliarity wearing a loud costume. Letting go is not stepping into a void. Letting go is stepping into possibility. Now you can imagine you're walking through life with a backpack that gets heavier every year. Old expectations, regrets, the what ifs, the relationships that you don't speak to, but somehow you still carry that load. The dreams that you no longer want, but you simply feel guilty releasing. And you say, why is life so heavy? Why does life feel so heavy? And life whispers, maybe put the backpack down. And you reply, I can't. What if I need something that's in there? And we are all carrying emotional IKEA screws. We are all carrying emotional IKEA screws for a bookshelf we don't even own anymore. Letting go isn't losing, it's taking off the backpack and remembering what your spine feels like. Taking off your backpack and remembering what your spine feels like. Let's do a small practice now. A small practice. Put your hand on your heart. Put your hand on your heart and think of that thing that you're gripping. Let that thing come to mind, that thing that you're gripping. And then ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen if I let this go? What am I afraid will happen if I let this go? And let your inner voice answer without any censorship. So maybe it's the fear of being alone. Maybe it's regret, fear of the unknown, fear of starting over. Just for a few moments, let your inner voice answer without censorship. Breathe with whatever arises. Breathe with whatever arises. And that's just a small practice to hear your inner voice. Simply letting it speak. What am I afraid will happen if I let this go? And naming that fear, it loosens that first knot. Sometimes fear sounds like, if I stop trying so hard, does that mean I didn't try enough? Does that mean I didn't try enough? If I release this job, am I letting people down? If I let go of this version of myself, who am I? But the moment you let yourself see that fear clearly, that fear starts to dissolve. The moment that you let yourself see that fear clearly, that fear starts to dissolve. I'm going to drop in the second prompt now. What story have I attached to the thing that I'm holding on to? You remember the thing that you thought about in your first journal entry, the first journal prompt, the thing that you're gripping? What story have you attached to that thing? Because sometimes the story that we attach to something is the reason we can't let it go. If I let go of this relationship, it means I failed. It means I wasn't lovable enough or patient enough. If I leave this job, it means I'm irresponsible or ungrateful. If I stop being who I've always been, the strong one, the fixer, the achiever, people won't know who I am. If I let go of this behavior, who will I be? If I let go of this plan, all my effort was wasted. If I stop trying to please this person, I might lose them. Or if I forgive or let go of this resentment, I'm letting them off the hook. So, what is the story that you've attached to this thing that you've been holding on to? Take a minute to journal this. And if you're not journaling, just take a minute to reflect on it. What is the story that you've attached to the thing that you're holding on to? And I'll follow that prompt with another prompt. Is that story actually true? Is that story actually true? Our stories are essentially based on the future. Our stories are based on the future, and that too, it is an unseen future. A future that no one can see, no one can know, and no one can predict for sure. So our stories are based on fiction, something that hasn't happened yet. The only way we will know is if we try. The only way we will know is if we try. There is reward in risk. So what story have you attached to that thing that you're holding on to, and is that story actually true? Another word that's very synonymous with letting go is surrender. And there is a paradox to surrender. Surrender isn't collapsing. Surrender isn't unclenching. Surrender is the moment you stop doing what doesn't work. Surrender is the moment you stop doing what doesn't work. Not out of resignation, but out of wisdom. You stop forcing, you stop controlling, you stop gripping. And suddenly, your hands become free, your heart becomes free. And you get this freeness in life, and you're able to rearrange it. There's that famous saying that you cannot receive with a closed fist. You cannot receive with a closed fist. Letting go is kind of trying to improve your Wi-Fi signal, especially if you're in a bigger house with a lot of walls. And you walk around the house, you're holding your phone up like as if it is some sacred artifact. And you're saying just one more bar. You're trying to just find that one more Wi-Fi bar. You stand on a chair, you move to the left, you move to the right, you stretch out your hand, you tilt your head. But in that moment that you sit down, you stop trying, you breathe, suddenly you have four bars, four Wi Fi bars. Sometimes clarity returns when we stop waving our emotional phone in the air. Sometimes clarity returns when we stop waving our emotional phone in the air. Another practice, another small exercise. Take a moment to scan your body from head to toe. Simply do a scan of your body. So just take a moment and do a scan of your body. And try to notice, where are you gripping? Because sometimes We can feel that tightness in the jaw, or we feel that tightness in our shoulders, or the back of the neck, or the stomach, or the hands. Just scan your body and try to notice where you are gripping. Take a moment to do this. Take a moment to do this. Scan your body and notice where's the tension. Notice where you're gripping. And on your next exhale, soften that grip by just 5%. Soften that grip by just 5%. If it's a gripping that you're feeling in your shoulders, just soften it by 5%. If it's a gripping that you're feeling in your back, soften it by 5%. You don't have to release it fully. You just need to loosen it breath by breath. Each exhale, another 5%. The next exhale, another 5%. And you'll notice that that place where you're holding the tension, it starts to feel relaxed. No matter how long you've been holding that tension for, the moment you start to release it, even by a little bit, it starts to feel relaxed. And this is exactly how emotional letting go works. You don't release it all at once. You can't release it all at once. 5% at a time. A little at a time. A little at a time. All change starts with awareness. Because many of us go through life believing those stories to be facts. And then they wonder why they are having such a bad experience of life. They believe those stories to be facts. But the moment we realize that it's not a fact, it's a story, that changes the whole game. Because if it's a story, someone's writing the story. Who's writing the story? I'm writing the story. You're writing the story. You're the author. When you realize you're writing the story, you also, that also comes with the realization that you have the power to rewrite that story, to start to lose those habits, to start to unlearn that story. One sentence at a time, one paragraph at a time, one chapter at a time, a little by little. So realizing that it's a story, that it's a game changer, because we see it's a story. And now if it's a story, why not write a supportive story? Why not write a story that will support me on my journey through life? And that's why we don't call failures failures anymore. Failures are simply learning experiences. We learn every time we fail. It's a new attitude, it's a new way of looking at it, it's a new story that we are writing. Any of your drivers who drive cars, and while driving a car, have you all ever gripped that steering wheel so tightly that your knuckles turn white? And probably you all might have done that the first time when you all started to learn driving. You all sat in the driver's seat and you all held that steering wheel like your life dependent on it. Like as if holding it tight was keeping the car on the road, was keeping the car in lane. And then over the period of time, as you learn, you loosen your grip. And you think that the car simply goes straight the whole time. And most of us try to steer life that way. Most of us try to steer life by holding on too tight. And letting go does not mean losing control. It simply means relaxing enough to see that life is often guiding you gently, even when you tense up. Life is guiding you gently, even when you tense up. So if I released even a little, what would feel the tiniest bit lighter? That thing you're holding, if you released it even just a little, what would feel the tiniest bit lighter? Just something to ponder on or journal on. Before we go into the guided meditation, how many of y'all have that I might need this someday draw? Because we all have that one drawer at home, right? In that drawer, you'll find a Nokia phone charger. You'll possibly even find a Nokia 3310 in there. You will find different sets of screws, maybe some buttons. You will definitely have a key for the lock that you no longer own, some receipts from 10 years ago, some pens that are not working. You might even have some cable connectors for equipment that's not made anymore. But do we throw them away? Absolutely not. We say, what if I need this one day? What if I need this one day? What if all the MP3s and all the music online gets destroyed and I have to rely on my cassette player for music? What if I need this one day? And we all have emotional draws like that. We all have those emotional draws. Letting go is simply clearing the draw. Not because those items were useless, but because they are no longer relevant to who you are now. They are no longer relevant to who you are now. We'll now go into the guided meditation, and this meditation is titled The Opening of the Hand. The Opening of the Hand. So I invite you to close your eyes only if it is safe to do so. Close your eyes and let your breath soften. Let your breath soften. And imagine holding a small object in your hand. This could be a stone, could be a rope, could be a folded note. Imagine holding a small object in your hand that represents what you've been gripping. Imagine holding that object in your hand. Feel the weight. Feel the tension as you hold it tight. Now start to gently tighten your fist around that object. Start to tighten it. And feel that strain travel up your arm, into your chest, into your breath. Feel that strain. This is the cost of clinging. Now, as you exhale, loosen your grip just a little bit. Just a little bit. The object is still there, but something inside you is shifting. Take another breath. As you exhale, loosen it just a little bit more. Imagine a sweet, stubborn dog. A sweet, stubborn dog that's carrying a giant stick. A stick that simply will not fit through the doorway. It pushes, it angles, it tries every direction except dropping the stick. Let yourself smile softly. And imagine you gently letting your own stick go. Open your hand fully. Let that object dissolve into light, into space, into nothingness. Feel the freedom of an empty hand. Feel the freedom of an empty hand. And now place both your hands on your lap with your palms up. Place both your hands on your lap with your palms up. Open, receptive, unclenched. And breathe into the space around your heart. Breathe into the space around your heart. And say inwardly, I open space for what's next. I release what no longer fits. I trust the river of life. And take a deep breath in. Let it out. Move your fingers, move your toes, and if your eyes were closed, you can open your eyes. A teacher once asked a student, what is a closed hand? What is a closed hand? And the student said, a fist. The teacher replied, no. A closed hand is a hand that cannot receive. And then he opened his palm and he asked, what is this? And the student said, an open hand. The teacher smiled, no. This is a hand ready for blessing. This is a hand ready for blessing. This is a hand ready to receive. So letting go is not losing. Letting go is opening. Letting go is allowing. Letting go is trusting. It's creating space for what is coming toward you next. So as we close this event, place a hand on your heart and feel the softness there. Feel the honesty, feel the courage, and let these words settle into you. You are not what you cling to. You are not your attachments. You are the one who can loosen, release, and begin again. Every ending creates room for the beginning that you cannot yet see. Every act of letting go is an act of faith in what your life is becoming. You've created space tonight. Tonight, rather, you've created space in this session, in this event. You've created space. You've created room. And let that be filled with something true, something nourishing, something new. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your trust, and thank you for your courage to unclench. Thank you for listening. This has been Everyday Paradoxes, Tiny Truths About Becoming. Before you move on, you might sit quietly with these questions. What did I recognize in myself today? Where is this paradox quietly at work in my life? And what is one small shift I'm being invited toward? Becoming rarely announces itself. It unfolds in awareness, in small recognitions, in the gentle courage to see clearly. This series is based on my book Everyday Paradoxes, Tiny Truths About Becoming. It's a reflective guide meant to be read slowly, not for answers, but for insights that deepen with time. You'll find the reflection questions in the description along with details about the book. If this conversation resonated, you're welcome to like, share, or subscribe so these truths can reach others who may need them. Until next time, stay present, stay curious, and keep becoming.